contest, and you know, I'm still going with Morten. I still like the pick here for both gameplay reasons and for personal reasons. But you know, every once in a while, someone's got to go, hey, let's let the classics carry the tune for the night as we get into gameplay here. And it's interesting looking at Clown today, Andrew, because Clown did play a decent amount of minor, and he played some minor Prince specifically during the group stage, but one of the few players to really lean on Graveyard during our group stage. And you gotta wonder, was it because he felt like Graveyard was good in those moments, or because he was trying to protect some of his deck pool for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the cool thing right now about the meta, is that Graveyard is viable, E-Giant is viable, Minor Poison Control is viable, again, Hoggy Q is viable, which is why we're seeing Fishboy and Monk so much to start our day. I mean, Hoggy Q or even Royal Piggy's AQ is one of the most dominant decks right now, and I think a lot of it, too, is that not only is it because it's viable, but you imagine these players have missed playing Minor Poison Control and Hog for a long time. It's been a long time since the meta actually was favorable to these archetypes, as opposed to just forcing it in because you love to play said archetype.
And fun little composition so far from Morten, as he has Fishboy plus Night Witch and the Wizard. I mean, it's if you took Clash Royale now and showed it to somebody from 3 years ago, I think that their minds would explode.
Yeah, well, they'd be like, why do those cards look like that? What are those cards? The Evo conversation is also really fascinating. A lot of people saying that Tesla is no longer even close to the top 3 Evo cards. And you know, when you talk about where it fits into decks and what your other options are, it makes sense why Clown is running Evo Tesla here. Plus, it leaves his options open quite a bit. Valkyrie has really got an uptick in usage. And of course, top of your screen there, Evo Wizard still arguably the best Evo in the game.
And for a card that was arguably one of, if not the worst card in the game for so long
yeah.
in Wizard, it's such a turnaround.
And this is another fascinating conversation, Rich. There's a big conversation out there about Evo recruits, which, you know, I'm very curious to see if that conversation comes up at all today in the competitive scene. But the other one is about Void and how dominant that card is and how weird it is when it comes from a Clash Royale perspective. We've never had a card like Void where you can just click anywhere on the map and eliminate a card and almost always get positive trades. And if you're not getting a positive trade, you're kind of preventing something from happening in the future, right? It's like when you fireball a Magic Archer. Well, now you can fireball that Magic Archer for a +1 trade, and you don't have to think about him at the bridge. It's really a... I don't like playing against Void, but I do like watching it being played at the highest level.
Morten able to shut down the extra chip damage with the Fire Spirit, courtesy of his Evo Zap. Minute 48 remaining as Clown sets up for defense, preparing for the next onslaught from Morten.
Yeah, and this is going to be really what this game is all about for the next 100 seconds, which is just about Morten trying to build these big pushes using the HP that he has, right? I mean, he's got these big beefy cards, but he has to be able to get to the AQ every time, like you're seeing right there. And then using the Monk opposite lane, I like, because the Monk has to kind of work against that Valkyrie. The Valkyrie has to work against the Monk here for Morten, and then ideally, like, you seeing cycle back to it so that you can get it up in the face of the Wizard. So I'll be very curious to see how Clown continues to play his defenses as Morten is going to try to spread him thin using the beefiness of his deck.
Little elixir lead, though, for Clown as he decides to double down, get the Miner out in front of the Archer Queen. She'll get picked up by the Giant, but 54 seconds left. Clown with a significant lead and adding to it as the poison chips away. 1680 to 2144, and that Valk ability just shutting down the Giant getting to that tower.
And that's exactly what you have to do, right? That's exactly what I was trying to hint at, is that you have to get back to a Valkyrie, whether it's Evo or not, to get in between the tank and that Wizard, because the Wizard being behind with the shield can be so brutal to get on top of. Valkyrie's uptick, I think a big part of it is because we're seeing Wizard being used all over the place. And yeah, I mean, Clown's defense is insane. You know, you look at his win rate with Minor, it's a 57% win rate, but he ran it 76 times. 76 times in qualies.
And you see Morten trying to predict with the Void Spell getting a hold of nothing, and you saw him kind of selling out there, kind of letting the miner go to work on his own tower, recognizing he had to bank that 3 elixir for a push, and just couldn't put it together. Clown absolutely shutting it down in game number 1.
I mean, the defense, just that is absolutely brutal. A decent matchup. Otherwise, you know, you're never going to be able to break through like we saw in that first game.
Morten had a bit more success last weekend playing a very similar deck, but with the Goblin Giant evolution, and here we go back to what we would think more of as classic Morten gameplay. Royal Hogs come right into a Wizard plus Ghost.
Yeah, Wizard, Ghost, Evo Bats. It's been cool to see Evo Bats being worked back into the mix. You know, I really do love that almost all the Evos are viable. Evo Ice Spirit is actually really strong right now. So we're seeing Morten going to, you know, Royal Piggy's cycle here with the Evo Ice Spirit and the Evo Skellies. Probably going to have AQ, EQ as the last two.
Things slow down a little bit as Clown sets up his Monk in the bat. Immediate push opposite lane, just bats to work against those pigs. And the King Tower activation does get done for a second there. Looked like it might be a fail.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really helpful. Prince, man, it's been cool. I mean, this is such a cool game. If you look at this game right now, and a month ago, you look at what was played at the top of the leaderboard and in competitive, it's so cool to see all these cards work back in the mix. Oh, Magic Archer is back. Monk is doing something completely different now. Prince is here. You know, Bats are here. Evo Ice Spirit. This Royal Hogs deck is back. Like, there's so many cool things about the meta right now. It's so diverse.
And the potential to overwhelm and go the opposite direction with some of these spammy cards, really dangerous for Morten. And I have to be very careful about some of these bridge fights.
I mean, Morten is going to have a lot of difficulty in general taking care of all these support cards. You know, the spells he has is EQ and Log, and he has to be able to take care of Magic Archers and Wizards and Bats, and these are all really difficult to do when you don't have that. And look at that, a big connection at the top of your screen, the reflection on the cannon, Wizard is on the tower, that ability, or excuse me, the Evo is going to kill the Skellies if they even get there, and that's a huge blow early here by Clown.
I like the 3-1 split out of Morten, trying to make some decisions happen. Archer Queen gonna go down to the Prince with 24 seconds left. Clown in the lead by almost 400.
And the other thing too is these drills are going to be tough to get on top of when you talk about the ability to kind of NATO away things and you know, NATO away the skeletons. So you're kind of going to rely on perfect Ice Spirits and Logs a lot of the time, but then you add in a tank at the front of the bridge, and then we're going to see how Morten is going to adjust to that.
Archer Queen having so much difficulty getting anything done here with the Monk on the board. Delivery having some impact though.
Nice Ice Spirit
145 left.
The Evo Ice Spirit is so great when it comes to defense. I mean, the amount that it can cover defensively, it really can make up a huge elixir deficit.
Keep in mind that Clown doesn't have any direct damage spells, barring the little bit of damage he gets from the drill pop and from the tornado. So if Morten's able to extend that lead here, which he does with a very impactful Pigs connection, it's going to be a little difficult for Clown to get back without making some direct connections.
Yeah, Morten doing a great job right now. Clown going to try to go offensively on the other side here. See if we can get some goblins on tower. Morten does a great job with Skellies plus Log. Perfect timing once again. 1607, 1361, right back on the offensive. Ice Spirit behind looking for the bats, but we see an adjustment from Clown.
Evo Ice Spirit does keep it going a little bit longer. 2113, the mark on the bottom right-hand tower. And Morten's got to figure out how to contend with the Monk. Maybe get into some 3-card cycle here, and you see the Earthquake down. Monk in for reflection. Log to back up a little bit. And Morten should be able to shut this one down from here.
Yeah, I mean, he really should. He should be able to just play defense and EQ cycle all the way out here. He's got a lot of defensive options. He's got a great way to get on top of this drill. There's the late log. I don't know if he should have taken that much from the drill. 942 to 863 with the EQ cycle. AQ trying to take out the Wizard. 755, 942, and another set of piggies down.
I really like that Piggy's play here, Andrew, because he's forcing Clown to play defense rather than get on offense. And the last thing you wanted if you were Morten was Clown putting damage on your tower. So 5 Elixir into that right-hand side, absolutely the right call from the veteran.
Yeah, really opposite lane. But Morten just did such a good job, like you said, with that Ice Spirit. The Ice Spirit almost turns the Princess Tower into a Dagger Duchess, if that makes sense. It allows you to have so much...
I totally get it.
Yeah, you get... Okay, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And here we go. Very curious to see if we're gonna take a look at some Evo Gob Giant today, and
yeah,
we will get a look at him.
Yeah, Evo Gob Giant, for all of you guys that don't know out there, haven't played against it yet because it is still so new, and I think its usage is pretty low. I mean, you see it with Sparky a decent amount. You know, 50% starts spawning those goblins, and I'm really curious to see in competitive if we see, you know, the goblin takeover here at CRL.
Well, looking at the side of Clown, arrows, Evo Zap, log, and delivery all out for Morten. And it does make it feel like there's more opportunities to get value out of those goblin spawns in that later phase.
And this is a classic tried and true Morty deck here when you talk about the bats, the goblins, the wall breakers, the poison. You know, you got a champion in there for a 3-card cycle. I mean, this is his bread and butter, just kind of with a facelift to match 2024. And already to that Evo'd Gob G.
But the Mother Witch in here. Mother Witch plus poison. It's going to be a nice combination. You already see some pressure in the opposite direction out of the Mother Witch turning those goblins into bats.
Yeah, and you know, that right there just shows you the strength of the Goblin Giant, right? That Mother Witch should have been maybe a lot bigger of a problem, especially with the goblins spawning, but the one Stab Gob gets away, gets on top of the Mother Witch, and kind of just stops everything in its tracks.
First 2 minutes almost away, slight lead for Morten as that closed the gap down to 31 HP. You saw Morten tilt his head there, kind of thinking he wouldn't take that shot.
And these guys have very similar win rates with their win conditions here. We got Clown with Evo Gob Giant. He ran it 26 times with a 73% win rate, so definitely a huge fan of that. And then Morten on the other side of it running Miner at a 70% win rate.
That Fish Boy not going to quite get the Giant Skeleton to tower, but did require some extra focus from Morten.
What's nice for...
I know he doesn't have it.
For Morten is that for Clown is that Morten doesn't really have a great way to get on top of that Goblin gang right away. So we'll see how that kind of stacks up as this game goes on. Another connection on the right-hand side, though. Morten really doing a great job pressure-wise.
Well, that's exactly what he needs to do here, right? Is make Clown play defense and not let him get into big push mode. And so far, he's doing a great job. The Miner will get down, wall breakers. The Little Prince and calling the Guardian to clear, but I don't know if that's going to do it.
The nerf, man, the nerf. The less damage from the Guardian. We still get a huge connection there from the wall breakers, and I think Morten should be able to play this defense pretty clean. We'll see if Clown has any tricks up his sleeve. Fisherman comes in a little late to take care of that Giant Skeleton, but the bats, man. The Evo bats are one of the most satisfying cards in the game for me. And I
definitely have, and they're one of those ones where I think people, when they first saw Evo Bats, they were like, is this really going to be that impactful? And we've just seen in the right hands in the right moment that vampire ability can be so devastating.
And the Lightning comes in 1657, 824. Morten completely turning around this set, man. I mean, this is why he is GOATing for a reason. I mean, he is so good. He always stays so dialed. And Clown is just being completely overwhelmed. Those bats are on tower. Morten with the reverse sweep, doing what he does. And every time that I pick against Morten and I lose, I could not be happier. I am such a fanboy of Morten.
And I think it was Clown that was playing the Archer Queen really well in his matchup against Morten, but Rainbow overall, I think he was playing the Archer Queens a little bit too low. He was allowing Muhammad Light to just kind of overwhelm them. it just felt like there was a little something missing with Rainbow's Archer Queens. Hopefully he was able to recognize what was wrong with his gameplay from set number 1, and we'll see him fix that in this set here.
Golden Knights from both sides, maybe some drill here. There is a pretty popular drill deck that has a lot of these pieces, and we are seeing drill out of Rainbow. Royal Ghost will be a nice counter to that. And it's going to
little damage. As little damage as possible, but the Demolisher coming in. This is such a fun card to watch, really. It's an extra set of, I mean, it's an extra bomber. It's an extra set of wall breakers. It's definitely one of my favorite new cards that's been released in such a long time.
And Demo going to sneak away here. Doesn't quite get the connection. And an easy King Tower activation there. The swipe will be a little frustrating for Rainbow as he takes some stabs from the skeletons as well. And I think that's been the story of Rainbow today, Josh. It's just giving up little touches of damage that maybe were avoidable.
Yeah, I genuinely think that's all it is. And that's what happens when you're playing in these top 8 rounds, especially going against the competitors that you... I mean, he went against Muhammad. Like, you can't ever afford to give up any amount, any ounce of damage. And so far, Rainbow, macro-wise, has been playing fine. He's been playing even good, probably. But it's just those little tiny interactions that you just can't afford to give up.
And a King Tower activation for Clown, very nicely played, and that's going to be helpful against some of those goblin spawns from the drill as we go into double elixir time. The lead for Clown holding a little over 400 HP.
And I'm not a huge fan of talking about posture all that much, unless it's just like somebody who doesn't know how to say it, which is a lot of these Clash Royale athletes. But right here, it just looks like Clown is so relaxed. He doesn't really have a care in the world. It feels like he just knows what's going to happen, what the end result is going to be.
Well, so far has been so good, although with a little Magic Archer work, Rainbow starting to get back in the game, trailing by about 260 if you look bottom left to top right as we go into sudden death overtime. And this is where it starts to get interesting because Rainbow does have the better direct counter, you would say, with the Ghost, a more traditional counter, but the Demolisher with the logs been doing a pretty good job, and Rainbow able to create seemingly more pressure out of it so far.
Yeah, and right here, Magic Archer at the bridge, only going to get one shot, but it's also going to force the Demolisher to just, I mean, be wasted, really. So I really like that. And right there, another Tesla to stop it at the bridge. These Ghosts have been quite wonderful from Clown, always defending perfectly, and then even just forcing out Skellies, which Rainbow doesn't even have in cycle. He's always getting a lot of damage or a lot of elixir forced out from Rainbow.
Good Tesla to pick up the Magic Archer on the side of Rainbow, but still does give a bit of damage, so dual lane opportunities right now for Clown, and the dueling NATOs keep the damage off his tower, and you see Rainbow again, the body language, just that little tilt of the face, little grimace, feeling like he's seen his CRL slip away.
Nice little prediction from Rainbow. Gonna place the Golden Knight so that way the Tesla doesn't snipe the Magic Archer. And so far, I mean, these NATOs, it's always been the right concept, right idea from Rainbow. It's just not getting the value that he needs. It's just either a 1/10 of a second too late on an interaction, or Clown's always predicting. He's doing a great job so far.
Golden Knight on the board. This is a good opportunity here, potentially, for Rainbow, as he's going to go with some dual lane pressure. The Golden Knight high to control. He still has some Evo Skellies on the board. Tesla wipes them off. And Rainbow does have the slight elixir advantage, does not have the ability to take away both the Ghost and stop a log from clearing out his goblets as they spawn. And that's going to be a game number 1. Easy does it for Clown.
And see, these are some of the most enjoyable matches to watch for me. First of all, it feels like
over with his deck picks, and I think that, Josh, you know, you mix in the confidence, you mix in the micro and macro. Clown's deck pool has grown so much deeper over the last year and a half.
Yeah, I'm so excited to continue to watch Clown evolve and become a better player. Just last season, he was able to finish, I believe, 6th and 8th overall. I had his Twitter pulled up earlier today. Yeah, 6th and 8th overall end of season. He's just on a tear so far this year.
And you know, you talk about unpredictability here, and you know, it's how often do you see Hog run without Log? Well, Clown's one of the guys who's been running Hog with Barb Barrel, not inconsistently. This is not the first time he's done it through this round of CRL competition.
So this is going to be an interesting defense. See how many shots he's going to be able to give up. Ramrider only gets one, and that's going to be a relatively healthy Mighty Miner. The P.E.K.K.A does get one swing. But Clown, this is going to be a nice little counter push, and we're going to have to see what Rainbow is going to do about it.
And Hog should get one, and it does. Zappy's not able to stop all of that. And forcing out the Bomber to just prevent the little extra. That would have been some significant Mighty Miner damage. And that evens the elixir. They are pretty much on the dot with each other as we pass the midway point of regulation time.
And I hate that I don't know this. Between the Barb Barrel Barbarian and the Ghost, I believe that the Ghost gets more DPS on top of or damage on top of the tower. Right there, maybe a slight misplay from Clown, giving up an extra 20 HP worth of damage to not just defend the Ghost with the Barb Barrel directly.
Final minute of regulation. Elixir starts to go a little bit faster as Clown sets up his Mighty Miner to the left-hand lane, and the confidence that Rainbow has now, knowing his Zappies can help control against the Hog, and he goes Zappies in the back. So P.E.K.K.A to the right-hand corner, Zappies in the back. Rainbow feeling pretty confident at the moment. And
Clown Clown able to protect his Wizard just in time. And yeah, it really is about these Zappies. It is so difficult for Clown to take him out. You would have to assume that the last card for Clown is going to be Earthquake, or do you know what the last card is for Clown?
Not entirely sure. Earthquake is common. I think we would have seen Fireball by now if that were the case. People have been running some Poison in some of these stranger Hog Rider decks as well.
Right there, Wizard able to take everything out. Zappies not on the board. We're gonna have to see how Clown, and there we go, we do see the Earthquake. Clown recognizing, hey, I have the HP advantage, I cycle quickly, it's hard to get past these defenses, so Clown quickly recognizing that he's gonna have to spell cycle him out if he wants to take the victory.
P.E.K.K.A cycled in the back. A no champion deck out of Rainbow in this one. Keep that in mind as we get into the later stages. The ability for the 3-card cycle to try to get past some of these defenses and get those EQs on the board. But this is, again, why we're talking about a Barb Barrel Hog deck versus a Log Hog deck. A little bit harder for Clown to put that burst spell power damage at the end of a game.
And that is fantastic timing. The question is, does he get the second shot? It does. Rainbow cycling the P.E.K.K.A in the back because he didn't, I mean, it looked like Clown was going to spell cycle. That is a great recognition from Clown to switch up how he wants to play each and every specific interaction. I love that he went in with the Hog right there.
And this time, happy to let the Void take the Wizard off the board is Clown, not needing to protect that one. And now he does need to worry about this Ram Rider. Bomb tower down again, this time Void trying to make a little pathway through, and Ram Rider just barely doesn't connect.
Are you kidding me? Gorgeous defense from Clown. That's going to be another Hog shot on top of the tower. With the help of the Earthquake, we might see a second. Doesn't even need it. Clown, unbelievable defense. It's not just Mo that can do it. Clown showing why he's getting most of the votes from the casters.
And this was just easy, right? There was never really a moment in doubt between these two rounds of gameplay. Clown totally relaxed, and Rainbow pretty much from the beginning looked resigned to his fate. Camera goes, and Clown goes on to the next round.
That was a special set right there. That was a joy to watch from Clown. I
found himself against a different class of competitive player. And my suspicion here is that what he finds, as that's what he's going to find against Clown, but he has up to 3 games to prove me wrong.
And I love that he's going minor first game here, right? He's going up against RG. He should be able to control this well. He's got a great option and a tank there with the Evo Knight. So this is going to just be all about Clown just doing damage with that minor. We know he is an incredible minor control player, and I'm sure he's had to defend against RG many, many times before. You got the little Prince there for 3-card cycle. You've got the little Prince there to push things back. Lightning in early from Sub.
And, you know, we're seeing Sub kind of take a page from Mohammed's book, going with the quick cycle Royal Giant with the Lightning. And it worked really well for Mohammed against Ardentois's minor control deck. But the couple of key differences there, one is running that Clown is running the Little Prince rather than the Archer Queen, right? So you have a 3 elixir situation against Lightning rather than a 5 elixir situation. He's running the Knight, the Evo Knight, rather than the Evo Valk. So while the Evo Valk can pull away the Royal Giant, Evo Knight will do a little better on that single target damage. And then the Ice Spirit to stun and slow things down. So I like this matchup for Clown in the minor control versus Royal Giant cycle better than the very similar one we just saw between Mo and Art.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially because with this deck that Clown has, he has the ability to stop the RG without it shooting a lot of ways, right? You got the pushback, you got the guards at the bridge, you got the log, or excuse me, the Ice Spirit as well to lock it up, and then you have the Evo Tesla to lock it up. So you have all these great ways to stop the Evo RG with it never even shooting, and that's going to be a huge part of the game plan here for Clown. It's just going to be defend how I can with the guards plus the Knight plus the, you know, Little Prince for the cycle, and then just get minors in on the opposite side, and then as the game goes on, minors plus poisons.
And has to get the Little Prince out in the back to take care of those Evo skeletons. Sub happy to take the negative trade there and get the Little Prince off the board early.
Yeah, you know, it feels a little odd to keep doing that negative trade, but it's just, it stops the ability of that Little Prince to be a big, impactful part of the game, right? You're doing that -3 trade, but he also knows, Sub also knows you can be that aggressive, because the worst thing that can happen to you is that you have to ignore a minor, right? Like, that's literally the worst thing that can happen damage-wise, is Clown goes minor plus poison because you have an elixir deficit. And I like the guards catch there by Clown.
Sub starting to build up a pretty nasty push here.
Yep.
Log
This
plus
is what we were kind of waiting on all day, right? With these big Evos. I don't know how he stops this.
Oh yeah, Clown is so low on elixir. The Lightning erases the Knight, and
That's
the RG
it.
stays up. GG.
Very, very well played there by Sub. I mean, he did what we talked about all day, and he didn't even have a champion to do it. He just had a really cheap deck, right? He's got the barrel when you talk about the competition this year and the lack of opportunities, right? And then, of course, that compounding stress when you are facing elimination, knowing that you've only got one opportunity after this if you lose today. So the pressure is definitely on with our penultimate monthly finals almost in the books here. And Sub, top of your screen, going Void Demolisher. Clown at the bottom, busting out that Evo Valk.
And you see once again Sub happy to take a little negative trade just to prevent easy damage from his opponent. Mortar comes right into an Archer Queen.
Happy to see the Mortar. Definitely not a very popular win condition these days, and there's just no way around that conversation. But a Mortar Rocket deck here from Clown. Very interesting.
Okay. And you saw Sub go, oh, hey, look, your Mortar is gone. I'm going to push immediately in the opposite lane with a Ram Rider, and the Rocket there very quickly to shut that down.
Yeah, and you know, Clown has the E-Spirit to kind of lean on here as a great way to slow and stun that Ram Rider. The Evo Valkyrie is another way to kind of hold that Ram Rider in place. But again, when you talk about Mortar just not really being a popular win condition, I'm curious if he's kind of hamstrung himself at all here.
This is the kind of stuff that he was doing during the group stage, right? Getting a little bit out of the center of the meta and playing some things that maybe you don't anticipate. We'll see if that pays off for him.
+2 trade there, and then a lot more having to be spent. So now down 4 elixir is Clown, and we'll see how Sub wants to punish for that.
Clown did win a game with Mortar during the group stage against Jors to round out his 6-0 run through the Sunday.
And I want to see a hold on the Void here. I want to see him play it at a different spot. And that's exactly what we see from Sub, trying not to be predictable. And there it is, late. And it will be enough with the zap. And that's a really, really nice play there by Sub. He knew that Clown would be looking for a way to block that Void. He plays it late, gets a little bit more elixir out of it from the Goblins and the E-Spirit to try to block.
I cannot believe this defense is going to work, although
Clean.
It does put Clown very behind. And there's a Mega Knight set up in the back for Sub.
Yeah, you know, and you wonder how many more of those defenses are going to go that well, Rich. We've seen this for years now, where you see a defense, you're like, man, that was incredible. How many times can you replicate it? And that was a much better job there by Clown, keeping his AQ alive.
So despite the action and Sub really putting pressure on in the first couple of minutes, this game is still fairly close. No damage on the Brazilians' towers yet, but Clown, with a little bit done to both of his sides, 27-64, the weak tower on the right-hand lane.
I don't know how I feel about this deck, Rich. I mean, the damage is really going to come from rocket cycling. You're not looking to get too many mortars on tower. We are seeing Clown start to create opportunities to get those mortars on tower. But as this game goes forward, I'm really curious as to how, you know, how Clown is going to get as much damage as he needs, and then how Sub is going to abuse moments when his opponent has to use Rocket for damage. Where does he pile things up at the bridge with the Mega Knight, with a, you know, a Mega Knight plus Prince plus Ram Rider push? I'm very curious to see how the rest of this game unfolds.
And wow, goes for the MK pull to get the mortar on tower. That is absolutely massive as a connection. Forces the Void out. Clown does have to contend with a healthy Mega Knight plus Queen on the right-hand side. Gets his Queen down, but just like that, Clown has taken the lead for the moment.
Yeah, and that's a really cheeky NATO. It's a bummer he had to activate King Tower to do it, because those Goblins become just a little bit less impactful when they do get on tower. But now we see the defensive mortar pulled out with only 37 seconds left. And that might be enough for Clown, right? Because obviously Rocket Cycle is going to beat Void Zap Cycle. And with that one play, that could be it.
And he's still putting mortars onto that left-hand side for pressure. Really wants to force the action that direction. Void plus the Mega Knight. Demolisher getting pulled all over the place. First rocket in on this cycle. And that might be the victory here. Clown needs to get another mortar down, but I mean, what a game from Clown here in number 2 to get it done. GG, well played. We're going to game number 3.
Man, if that bomber got on top of tower, that would have been a beautiful steal there. Obviously, mortar too high, not going to get that double bounce. And that's one of those cheeky plays, man. All of a sudden, Royal Hogs become a little bit more impactful. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing about the meta right now, is it's so kind of up in the air that I love that we're not painted into a corner in Game 3, where it's really felt like that for a long time.
Game 3 on its way. Clown going to open up with bats. Let's see if Sub does go heavy once more, or if he goes something a little bit faster cycle. It's Clown going to go with the Hog Rider, and maybe a minor control deck out of Sub.
Hog, Evo, bats. Okay.
Okay.
Why not?
Sure.
I'm here for it.
So am I. Obligated to be. Also happy to be. But Mega Knight, and into a Mighty Miner.
There's the Firecracker from Clown. So Evo Cracker, Evo Bats going up against Mighty Miner and Evo Wizard.
I mean, what an interesting kind of a throwback of a deck out of Clown.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen Hog MK Prince in a long time.
You know, I was just going to say, what's the option there to get rid of those bats? And an Ice Spirit Plus will be just enough. two basically untouched sides here, as Clown is technically behind at 29.94.
What's Sub's answer for the Mighty Miner into his MKs?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be frustrating, especially because, you know, you talk about not having a champion so far from Clown. Sub's going to be able to use that 3-card cycle to create pressure, get those miners out, and then also always have the opportunity, like you see right here, to have that Mighty Miner back in the cycle. Biggest thing for him is then worrying about Firecrackers, which, there you go, Firecracker at the bridge, high Wizard. Ooh, Wizard, though, not on the Firecracker, and a Prince comes out. This could be brutal for Sub.
And you look at that, Sub has to play the poison to get that Firecracker off, and now he's going to have to play to defend against the Prince, and this is going to put him in a bit of an elixir deficit.
Yeah, I like this. Clown goes Royal Ghost to the left-hand side. Maybe he goes Hog plus Bats to the right. I like the idea of dual lane pressure. There's Hog. And Evo Tesla, still good enough.
Clown used to lean on this a little bit in some of our old, like when this overall idea, right? Because you've seen this with the same kind of the MK Ghost Prince combo with Miner. You saw it become popular with Hog. And Clown used to play this a fair bit in some of the smaller leagues when it was more popular. Fascinating to see it here today.
Yeah, I mean, and that also gives him a huge advantage, I feel like, with, you know, just like we saw Mo in set number 1 going back to his tried and true Hog deck. Is like, if you have experience with a deck that has not been favored in the meta for a while, Wizard gets a shot there to even up the towers, then it can kind of be an ace up your sleeve. We'll see if that's the case here with Clown, who is, you know, technically behind, but still a lot left to be played here with 2 minutes of OT.
Clown's
EQ. Ugh.
I'm looking at this and seeing that Clown with Mega Knight this season, 4 of 18, so a 22% win rate. What a choice to go with here. And having so much trouble trying to figure out some way to get past these Teslas because he can't really build those big pushes as Sub is just able to shut down the MKs with his Mighty Miner every time.
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. I think he has to create like an MK plus Prince push, and then like a Royal Ghost plus Hog Bats push, and then yeah, you have to have like a Firecracker behind the MK. It just feels like too much has to happen that costs too much going up against a deck that is really defensively strong and really cheap.
Well, so far so good for Sub. He does have a bit of a large push to contend with. Ice Spirit slows everything down. And once more, this Tesla just holding down the fort for Sub.
Yeah, I just don't love the synergy of this deck from Clown. I just, you know, there's just something that doesn't feel quite right about it, and I could just as quickly see him win this game by some great offensive push, but as of right now, he just seems to have all the answers.
Evo Tesla has to go over to the side, though, and so the EQ might open up enough. Log has to come out for the Hog, but now here's the push and the pressure you were talking about, Andrew. 20 seconds left. Gonna go into that strong side lane here. Good Ice Spirit to distract against the Firecracker. Hog wants to get through. Hog can't get through. 9 seconds left. EQ in. Does the Hog hit? No, it doesn't. Is there one more spell for Clown? No, there isn't. The poison gets it done. No, the Firecracker hits! The Firecracker hits! Clown steals it with no time left. Unbelievable!
61 HP. I mean, I can't even. A myriad of emotions. It was like, oh, Sub won, oh, Clown won, oh, Sub won, and then Clown with a Firecracker hit at the end, just trying to keep up with the DPS, trying to keep up with the numbers. And what a finish! The Firecracker.
Ooh, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to this. I think that number one, you know, the decks need to be a little bit better, especially versus Muhammad Light. This is kind of a bit of a coach matchup here. We got Muhammad Light's old coach coaching Clown here. Jeebus coaching
with it in game number 1. We'll see. We're gonna find out right now. Mo, bottom of your screen. Clown, top of your screen. Clown just dying to get to those world finals, and he's got a big out ahead of him.
And we see Muhammad Light again with this Evo Wall Breakers Miner, no big spell. Maybe we'll see the Monk and the Phoenix as well. I do want to take a minute here and just talk about the Monk in general. I think that obviously during the dagger dodges meta, it made sense that it was strong. But, I play a lot of Mega Draft. And even with Princess Towers, Monk seems to be such a strong card, especially in this duels formatting, where it's able to really block out a lot of the good cards like Evo Wizard, like Bomber, but just in general, just being such a solid tank. It's so good. I believe Mohamed Light, I saw from the stats earlier, has an over 80% win rate with Monk, with over 50 games as well with the Monk. Whoa, this Prince. That was kind of scary.
Yeah, and right now, Mohamed Light having to put everything together to defend. Prince still on tower. Miner going to be tanking for this AQ. Luckily, the bomb tower stops the bleeding. And a couple small misplays there from Mohamed Light.
Yeah, but he's able to, not lose the whole tower here. And I think that's why Clown is using this Mega Knight Prince deck specifically. It's actually very strong versus these quicker cycle decks. The Mega Knight plus Prince synergy in single elixir can get some mad damage like it just did. But as we head into double elixir, Mohamed Light's going to be able to control this a lot easier. The Monk to deflect the Archer Queen, to tank the Mega Knight, as well as the guards for that Prince. It's going to be tough to recreate that from Clown here.
Yeah, I mean, you're really going to have to make sure that you can demand the guards out up high with the Prince so that you can actually get the Miner on top of tower without having a great response, right? Because if the Miner is on top of tower, guards are out of play, you got to play something like a Phoenix or a Bomb Tower or a defensive Miner, assuming that the Monk is already out up high to deal with something like the Archer Queen.
Monk ability tanking the Prince here. Fink's doing a fairly good job. Miner getting a bit of chip damage as well. Clown is going to be able to defend this,
That's a lot of chip.
Yeah, and try to convert a counter push. Instead, he goes Obsolete. Interesting.
So Miner in right to the spot where the Bomb Tower can shoot it. Not sure if that's the best placement, but Bomb Tower does go down before the Miner is taken off the board. MK still tanking, so going to be able to even things up. Now you assume guards are going to come out for that Prince.
Guards are down. Evo Zap can be a good counter to guards. Maybe that's the one way where Clown can actually win this game. Because look, Mohamed Light just chipping and chipping away. He's having solid defense, and that will continue unless Clown can get a Mega Knight plus Prince with the Evo Zap for the guards in order to break through.
So now guards out on the left-hand side. We'll see if a Prince comes down in front of this Archer Queen. And it does, technically, because the AQ can use her ability, does sneak around in front. And Monk ability just in time.
Yeah, just barely in time. Ghost on the left line, gonna have to counter that with something. Goes for the guards here. Maybe that will allow the Prince to get something going, but that's the other thing about having two small spells and kind of using the Evo Zap as your quote-unquote big spell is your cycle is just so quick. You're always gonna be back to exactly what you want, especially with guards. A lot of times we see skeletons instead of guards in decks like this to cheapen your cycle, but the guards are so good on defense, and then the small spells allow for the quicker cycle to continue.
Wow, MK dropped right on top of those Evo wall breakers, but with the help of that Miner, one of the wall breakers still connects. 1509 to 2063 here in game number 1. Remember, if Clown wins this, we have a 3-person race for that golden ticket. If Momo wins, it'll be between Morton and Lucas in the next matchup. Double connection there, and that is gonna do it. That is more than enough to close this game out. Evo Zap on top, and Mohamed Light is just back in his favorite place to be, which is dominating the lower bracket.
Yeah, Inferno Dragon would be the one, though. I mean, you do have the Zap for the Inferno, but Inferno is historically the best Monk in Phoenix counter.
A lot of people saying Lava Loon, Lava Clone, Lava Loon Freeze, so it looks like a lot of people saying to go to the skies, some people saying recruits, so really interesting stuff there, but it doesn't matter anymore in this set. It's already been played. Maybe it's something for people to think about, and then following sets as Molite goes to Mortar. Hey, all right, I'm gonna pay attention.
If you guys don't know, Andrew, really good Mortar player, very big fan of Mortar. Let's learn from the best here. We have a Mortar Drill deck. We have a Knight at the bridge as well to tank for the drill. And Clown on the other hand looking like P.E.K.K.A bridge spam with Evil Ram.
Man, I was just gonna say, like, you know, aggressive P.E.K.K.A at the bridge, you take a lot of damage from the goblins, but at least you have a great counter push.
And then it's gone. The Inferno Dragon absolutely slaying out here on everything. And Mohamed Light's going to continue that. That's the one thing that differentiates Mohamed Light from other players is like once he gets damage, like I feel like most players after they get that much damage, they would sit back in defense and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna chill now. But no, he's like, I know I'm still up elixir. I'm gonna mortar again. I'm gonna take more, and then drop an Evo Knight on the battery, and then take more. He's just continuing this pressure, and this tower's gonna be gone in no time.
Bro, double building snowball with Inferno going up against P.E.K.K.A. Ram. I mean, it's like, what is this? How is this? And if I'm Clown, I'm just pissed off, honestly.
Yeah, you can't really tell motion-wise where Clown's at. As per usual, he looks up, and that's about as much as we're gonna get. And we do end the double elixir here. A slight mistake from Mo there. I don't know if everyone back home caught that, but the Evil Bomber at the bridge trying to lock onto that bandit. The tower would have been down if the Evil Bomber was placed a little bit later, but the question is, once again, can Clown break through? This is the time. He's got the P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah.
He's got the Evil Battleram. He's got the Evil Bomber. Snowball does slow. There's a lot of pressure here. He's looking to be okay. Wow. Evil Barbs are scary.
Yeah, Evil Barb's gonna connect. Bandit does not connect arrows to clean up the skeletons. And even though Mo stopped the Battle Ram from connecting, Clown gets a huge amount of damage. 644, 1211. Mo Light cannot survive another defense like that. 16 seconds remain. Clown needs to survive to get another Evo Battle Ram on the board. I think that is his #1 goal, as you see Battle Ram coming down right now.
Snowball drop down, slowing it down. The Void is blocked by the Evo Knight. The Evo Knight doing a great job of tanking and pulling everything in range of both towers. Very important with the Princess Tower to make use of it as much as possible. Both players kind of resetting here. Mo Light, he's in this situation that he knows though. He's up damage, he's holding on to that damage, and he's continuing that damage. It's up to Clown to try and prevent this, and it's just not working.
Wow, the late bomber allowing the first goblin to get on top of tower. Now it's in poison range. Game over. Clown really kind of closing things up here, almost making it a game. And then does catch the Evo bomber here, but a poison is all Mohamed Light needs. Really, really well played there by Mo, and you know, a valiant effort to come back there by Clown. Mohamed Light staying alive, undefeated, down in the lower bracket.
As per